I tell you, I'm going to have to talk to Charlie about that bumper music. I mean, I think I'll introduce him to the piano guys and see what he thinks. I don't know. I shouldn't judge. At my age, most of the modern music kind of assaults the ears. In any case, hope everybody had a good weekend. We had the United We Strike marathon this past weekend. And, of course, I was marathoning for about 8 hours of the day. I was doing the behind-the-scenes production work for them. That was quite the workout. But if you go to UnitedWeStrike.com, I think it is, UnitedWeStrike.com, you can check out the archives. A lot of interesting presenters participated this past month. But it is Monday, and it's Monday, March 11th, 2013. And being Monday, I hope you're expecting the Alternative Energy Hour, because that's what we do on Monday during the first hour of Wide Awake News. I am your host, Gary Hendershot, and tonight I'm bringing on one of my favorite guests, a fellow by the name of Mark Dansie, who is doing quite a bit of traveling right now. As a matter of fact, we've rolled him out of the rack a little early this morning. I understand it's about 8 a.m. where he is, and he's kind of like me. He's a night owl. He works until wee hours of the morning. So I imagine dragging his sorry behind out of bed this early in the morning was a bit of an imposition. But in any case, I would like you to welcome Mr. Mark Dansie, our traveling ambassador of alternative energy matters. How you doing, Mark? You wide awake? You got your coffee ready?
I got my coffee, sir, and I'm wide awake and feeling quite refreshed this morning. I did a 2 a.m.er, but that's pretty cool. And I'm in Hong Kong at the moment.
Hong Kong.
So, Hong Kong, city of tall buildings. People live in these units in these tall buildings, but what amazed me is there's very little traffic, great roads and great public transport. And I was expecting there's 1 million people on the streets, but there's not much cars. So I think they priced them out of existence over here.
Just for point of reference, I mean, do you have any idea what it costs right now for say a gallon of gasoline in Hong Kong?
I don't, Gary, but
you're taking public transit while you're there. You're taking cabs everywhere, so you're probably pretty well insulated from it.
I don't know, but gasoline through Asia, I was in Thailand, I've been to Taiwan, I've been to Philippines, this trip in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I've been jumping from country to country. Gasoline typically costs around about $6 a gallon to $7 a gallon US over here. But diesel's a lot cheaper in some countries,
right.
Which is interesting.
Are diesel cars more prevalent because it's a less expensive fuel there?
It is in the Philippines, but the most prevalent thing, like in Taiwan, is scooters. Everywhere you go, there's thousands of scooters. But there's some pretty cool public transport.
What do these people do when the weather is inclement? I mean, they're still out there riding those scooters in rain, snow, sleet, and slush?
I don't know. I really don't know.
You stay in when it's nasty out, huh?
However,
I see these people riding around on these scooters, and I say, that it looks like fun. I've even kind of thought, because here in Virginia, unlike most motorized vehicles, if you get one of these little scooters with an engine that's so anemic it can hardly move you, you can ride around on it with no licenses, and you don't have to have a driver's license. You have to tag the thing. You don't have to pay personal price. So, I mean, it's a cheap way to get around. But I just wonder, what do people do when the weather turns foul? I mean, I'm kind of spoiled up with my Buick, with my air conditioning and heating and windshield wipers. I'm not sure I'd be comfortable on a scooter.
I don't know, Gary, but I got to tell you one thing as my highlight, talking about transport, was the bullet train in Taiwan. 290 kilometres an hour. I don't know what that is in miles per hour, but it's fast and it's easy. It's smooth.
About 140 miles an hour.
Is it? Actually, I think it's a little bit more than that. It's about. I think you'll find it's probably. Let's see. It's getting up close to 300 kilometres an hour. It's actually getting closer to 200 miles an hour. It's 290 kilometres an hour. It's 1.6 kilometres per hour. In Australia, 60 miles an hour, 63 miles an hour is 100 kilometres. So we're getting up over 200 miles an hour, Gary, on the train.
Is that right? Well, that's how long has this bullet train been up and running in Taiwan? Is that fairly new, or have they had it for a while now?
A few years, and it's great. I mean, we had to go into city, and we travelled over 100 miles in less than an hour. You know,
now,
it was great.
How is the schedule and the convenience of getting on and off? Because one of the problems that a lot of us have with the
it wouldn't work
public
in America.
transit here. Yeah?
It wouldn't work in America because the bullet train would be treated as a high threat, so you'd have to have the TSA set up and get through that. Here, you just walk up, just like you do a normal railway station, put your money in the machine or go to the ticket counter, grab a ticket and walk straight on. Beautiful, luxurious carriages. It's silent. It's smooth. You don't even know you're hardly moving. And you look out the window.
The first bullet trains that I was aware of were done by the Japanese. Probably, they've had them for a long time, 25 years now. And then, of course, in Europe, they did that high-speed rail between Britain and France that they actually took 10 years digging a tunnel under the English Channel to support that. And I understand that's a pretty decent ride. And of course, many have prophesized that we would have something like that here at some point. But of course, we seem to spend most of our money running around the world killing brown people instead of doing something useful. So we just we're broke at this point. We've spent all our money on. Well, I know you can't comment on that, or you lose your green card. But
I haven't got a green. I can't get back to your country now until I get a new visa, and I have to go back to Australia and deal with law firms. So
you better be careful what you say then, otherwise you'll be on the TSA blacklist.
Already on that list. But the point is that the schedule is every 15 minutes.
Every 15 minutes.
And they've got two lines you can get from one end of the country real quick to the other, and then you got the one that does half a dozen stops. But I got to tell you, I enjoyed it. It was as simple as walking on a train in any city, very luxurious, very surprisingly quiet and smooth, except you look out the window and those telegraph poles just go foom, 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 foom. Now, and the only thing that doesn't happen, you can't use your cell phone in there because it's zipping past the towers too quick. So your poor old cell phone, the towers don't know what to do. It's like, you're here, you're there, you're here, you're there, so...
Well, there is a solution for that, but that's neither here nor there. They could put
so that's my
highlight.
And in Hong Kong, I got to tell you, the public transport is stunningly good. Taxis, London buses, and lots of trains. And most people don't need a car, I guess. But that's a choice, different cities, different cultures. So... my travels over here, I'm seeing a bit of an implosion with the free energy scene. You're seeing, certain FBI raids in the US. Yildiz hasn't come through with his university test. He cancelled it with 24 hours notice at the last minute. He's been doing that for 7 years. And I'm not seeing anything exciting in free energy at the moment, but what I am seeing is a lot of really, really good, interesting stuff on my travels, which I'll call breakthrough energy, or what I'll call really important stuff as far as potential and projects that are moving ahead. So the free energy, nothing's there at the moment exciting me. A lot's gone quiet. We're seeing a lot of stuff rehashed over and over and over again, and a few things are getting killed off, as you can see, for whatever reason.
We've got about 10 seconds before they play the music and take us into the first break. What about power on this train in Thailand? What powers it? Are they on nuclear and it's nuclear electric, or are they using something else for their bullet train? Real quick before we go to break.
I think they use nuclear power in Taiwan, but I could be wrong. I'd have to check on that. But anyway,
hang on, man. We gotta go off for this break here. We gotta do a little bit of business, folks. So please do stand by. We'll be right back after these commercial announcements. And we're back from our first break of the evening, and we're talking to Mark Dansie, who is our traveling ambassador of alternative energy affairs. Now, as we were speaking with Mark a little bit during that first segment, I noted that his internet connection was not quite as good as we had hoped, so I'm going to have to apologize, but we're going to run with still images for the rest of this conversation. I asked Mark to kill his video feed so we could hear what he was saying. I didn't want to lose the audio portion of the conversation. In any case, Mark, we were talking a little bit about all the great cuisine you've been able to sample, and your fascination with their urban transit systems there in Asia. But we really came here tonight to talk about what you might have seen in the way of alternative energy gadgets and gizmos. Now, I know that's kind of what you're on the road to investigate. Maybe during this segment, it is kind of a short segment. We've only got about 5 minutes here before they rattle our cages again. Maybe you could tell us some of the interesting items that you've investigated while you've been out there.
Well, I'm actually over here on business, as you know, with the flashlight, talking to manufacturers and distributors, and just to finalise our production for our upcoming product range. But I've been very fortunate. A lot of companies I'm dealing with, there's a lot of innovation over here. There's one company I talked to in Thailand. Man, the projects they've got going are really, really innovative. They have got stuff that you could only dream of. And this one company, they only figure about a quarter of them will end up in production, but they're looking at innovative ways of recapturing energy from trucks. They're looking at producing fuels out of the ocean. And the projects, we've seen it all before, but these are very innovative and very original. And one of the things that I did get, I went on a bit of a tour to have a look at, was the way they save diesel fuel and oil.
Mark, we're losing you.
I was quite fascinated by this.
You said something about diesel fuel, and it went off into La La Land. Can you repeat that one sentence again, please?
I'm just going to move around a bit, Gary, see if I can get a better signal. For some reason,
Got to love those motel Wi-Fi connections, I'll tell you, Mark, you're fading off into La La Land. I think I might have lost you.
And come back on, because sometimes it switches servers on me here.
There, okay.
Is this any better? Hello.
Yeah, I think you're back now.
Am I back?
Yeah, you were saying something about how they save diesel. What do they do to conserve on diesel fuel?
Well, this is quite innovative. I went to a steel mill, and this company was doing some awesome work with this technology. They're mixing water with diesel, which has been done before, but what they do to the water first makes all the difference. And they're getting well over 20% savings. And after the cost of the water and the process and the equipment, they're still getting a 15% energy or cost saving. And in actual raw figures, they're getting well over 25% from what I saw. And this was powering up furnaces, but it's also been trialled and it's undergoing trials with engines. And although this has been done before, this has been done in a unique way. And in the past, I never saw a brilliant result in fuel savings, less than 5%. It's good for the NOx, good for the environment. But in this case, the savings are real. And this steel mill were absolutely brilliantly praising the product, the general manager, the technical staff. They had all the statistics, the figures. Really took me back. So that's a technology to look forward to in the near future. And any place that needs heating, or they've run it in combustion engines and got brilliant results, but they're still doing a bit more R&D on that. And I was taken aback by this, because I've never seen anything that gives you a real 20-25% saving. And they use tens of thousands of litres a day, so they know what they're talking about. And very, very clever technology. So that was one that took me back. And the secret sauce is what they do to the water first. And that's what took me back. It's a two-part process. Just mixing oil and water, yeah, companies have done that in the past very successfully, a bit of emulsion, but it doesn't get the results. But how they release the energy is and I tell you what, who's going to love this one is Moray King.
Oh, really?
He's going to love this. Yeah, he's going to love this because it's sort of down the lines of what he's investigating, but it's how they're treating the water is really allowing you to actually harvest the hydrogen. Because in the past, you only got the steam effect when you inject water.
Yeah.
You don't access the hydrogen. But this one, you're accessing the hydrogen, and it's how they treat the water.
Of course, for those in the audience who might be skeptical, water injection is nothing really new. I mean, the British were doing it on their fighter planes back during World War II. So, this is,
Absolutely. It gives you more power, but doesn't give you fuel savings or very minimal. Mm-hmm. And when companies like Lubrizol, they did a really good product where they had, I think, 15% water mixed with diesel and emulsifier to hold it together. The secret sauce in this one, why they're able to get the energy release, is how they're treating the water first before they mix it with the diesel. Mm-hmm. And that's where the secret sauce lies. And that one is very promising. The other thing that really took me back is another project of harvesting. They've all done it before, harvest algae, turn it into diesel. So hang on, I just got to decline a call there. Rosemary Ansley, we've heard that name before. Anyway, so that's what really, really took me back, is seeing projects like that. And next week I get to see a major cell project. Some $5 million has been poured into a cell
really
generator. So it'll be interesting to see.
I'm hearing that music in the background, Mark, so we are going to have to take a quick break. And I think during this break, I am going to try to reconnect with Mark and see if maybe I can get a little bit better connection. His connection seems to be kind of in and out. Blame it on the Wi-Fi at the motel in Hong Kong where he's talking to us from. But we'll be back right after these very important commercial announcements. Okay, hopefully we've now got a stable audio connection with Mark. The connection seemed to be drifting a little bit there, and we were having a little bit of trouble hearing what he was saying. Now, okay, back to you, Mark. Now, we were talking about, how they're processing the water before they mix it with the diesel. And apparently this is a proprietary process. You can't really tell us what the secret sauce is, but is this something that we might see and might benefit from here in the United States at some point in the near future? I mean, a 20-25% improvement in efficiency is certainly not going to save the whales and feed the hungry, but that would get a lot of people to stand up and salute. I mean, that ain't bad. That's a pretty darn good improvement. What do you think? Any chance we might see that here? Can we offer something hopeful to the folks in Europe and the folks here in the United States?
Yes, absolutely. I think this is going to go initially with big industry and anybody with heating requirements, but they are running tests on engines, and I'll probably kick in and help them with that. What I can see, this product is very stable. It's got a lot of stability. Once it's been treated, it holds together really well. So I was having discussions with them, and what we can see is, regional depots where people might set one of these plants up and sell the fuel or the diesel with the water mixed in at a much reduced cost over normal diesel. And it does improve the performance. The data I've seen from university tests, the results I've seen from on-road tests on vehicles, and they're just early. You get more power, and you definitely are releasing that energy out of the water. So that's quite exciting to me. That's the first time, we know water injection works, increases power, but doesn't always relate to fuel savings or just minor fuel savings. So really excited. But the other things that took me back was looking at all the other projects and how people are thinking over here. They're tackling everything. I was really, really surprised at the high risk they're taking. One of the projects, like I said, harvesting algae, we've heard of that before, doing it in the ocean and processing. What's different about this is the efficiencies they've achieved. Major efficiencies in the processing, how they process it. And to me, a relatively small-sized farm can provide a whole country's needs in fuels, which is amazing. The figures are tenfold, 20-fold of what you can do with terrestrial farming. Like with
now, for people who don't have any familiarity at all with this technology, what we're talking about here is we're talking about growing algae in a farm And the algae is used to produce what?
Fuel, diesel,
So
gasoline.
is it like a petroleum product? Do you handle it the same way you do raw
Yes.
petroleum? Does it have to go through a refining process like petroleum out of the ground?
Yeah, well, the end product they delivered is either gasoline or diesel.
Now, what do you feed these algae? I mean, is this another one of these deals where we have to take, valuable food crops that people might
No.
otherwise consume and feed it to the algae?
This is done in the ocean.
I see. So you're actually farming these. How do you keep the algae from getting away?
That's part of their technology, the booms and how they do it all. It's a total integrated system. And once again, it's undergoing trials, but the scientists who work on it are very clever there. There's a combination of marine biologists and engineers, which is very unusual. The two don't normally mix. Mm-hmm. But that was just another example of a great project that I'm seeing going ahead. And they've got many. This is one company. They had 12 projects on their books.
Now, okay, you said company. Now, is this a commercial project that corporate interests are doing, or is this some kind of government project where you got to count on payoffs and handoffs to get it handled?
No, this is commercial.
Okay, so somebody has looked at this and said, hey, if we invest this money, we can make a return. This is a business deal where somebody really, really, really expects to be able to do this in a profitable fashion and produce fuel for sale that is competitive with what's pulled out of the ground. Am I interpreting this correctly?
Yeah, I was quoted round about, a bit over $1 a gallon.
That's the wholesale price, of course. By the time it gets to the pump, it'll probably be twice that, and then, of course, the various agencies decide to lay their tax layers on it, and it'll be three times that. But
well,
bottom line is it's competitive with what can be pulled out of the ground.
Exactly. In fact, it's cheaper.
Well, now, are there any negative? Has anybody said anything about potential negative impacts? Because there's been a lot of these things where gee, it looks good going in, but there are unintended consequences down the road. Now, has anybody really taken a hard look at it to determine? Of course, I'm thinking about it. Okay, if you're farming these algae in the ocean and you've got some kind of a containment where you can keep your product, if you will, in a confined area, so that when it comes time to harvest, you can pull those suckers out and manufacture your oil. I'm trying to think, what an environmental impact might be, and I can't think of one. Has anybody mentioned anything that might be an unintended consequence of this process?
No, but part of the environmental impact study is the large-scale trial they'll undertake with this, and there's been 10 years' work going to prepare. But I think the point I'm trying to make, Gary, is what I'm finding is that's just one company. With several companies over here, they've got a real can-do attitude, and they're not as risk-adverse to taking these risks with different projects. I said to one of the engineers, Bill, you've got 12 projects here. How many you think will work? And they said, well, 4. The other 8, they're worth a try. There seem to be less risk-averse over here, and there seems to be a lot of innovation going on. One of the big things I saw was being built at one place, and it was sort of like a side project, was a ground effect vehicle. One of those things that fly across the ocean at 3 meters in the air. And I'm just going, wow, everywhere I looked I thought this is really cool. And it's sadly, I'm not seeing this in Australia, and I'm not seeing it in a lot of other countries, the innovation and it's not only here, the universities are really, really working on such diverse range of energy projects. They're prepared to put their neck out and have a bit of a go. I'm not saying they're better than anywhere else, it's just that I've become more aware of a lot of very exciting things over here that are happening that we necessarily aren't made aware of through different media that we have a look at. It's not that they're underground, it's just that we don't tend to get the reports on this sort of stuff. I had a request too that just come through just before, a little email saying why they don't see me on Free Energy News. I've been banned permanently, along with a few others, and I probably deserved it. So just so they know, I'm not allowed to post there anymore. So just to answer that question.
Mark, did you say something nasty about somebody's mama?
No, well, there's a few people, not many posts get through from a lot of people, and yeah, you know, I say it, so I'd probably deserve to get banned. I'd ban me. So I'm not saying I just want to tell people why I've suddenly gone quiet, or I'm not allowed to post anymore.
Okay.
But what I'm seeing with the free energy stuff, I'm still connected with looking, investigating free energy. I'm just seeing the same old, you know. Show me a magnetic motor, Gary. I want to encourage people like Russ and Zero. Zero's rocket fuel heater, I love that. It's not free energy, but I love it. But I want to encourage experimenters to keep going and still dabbling. But we're seeing a lot of these, you know, unfortunately, the PAP engine, FBI raids. There's a few more things like that going to happen. The Magna Coasters, people are still waiting 3 years later to get their first delivery. Those guys, those events make it hard for the legitimate little guy trying to get their head through, because if people now say another group that's working on the PAP technology comes up and says, I've got it, nobody's going to believe them. Oh yeah, the FBI busted that. So the investors are all going to stay away from that technology. And it makes it very hard. Same as false magnetic motor claims. Over and over and over again.
Mark, on the magnetic motor claims, I'm going to ask you to hold your thoughts, because I'm hearing that bumper music in the background. Folks, do stand by. We have to take our last commercial break of the evening, and then we'll come back with about 12 more minutes of Mark Dansie in just a moment. Alrighty, and that was our last break of the evening. We're going to go nonstop from here out until about 3 minutes before the hour with an executive summary for Mark Dansie. Now, Mark, when we were off on the break, you know, we talked a little bit about, you know, the public awareness in Asia about the Fukushima nonsense. I would like you to address that a little bit for the audience. You know, we discussed it some on break, but of course that's all going to get edited out before I post this to YouTube. So for the folks who were not able to be privy to our conversation on Justin TV, and for the folks that will hear this later on YouTube, what is the level of public awareness in Asia about this Fukushima nonsense, and how might that impact their reliance on nuclear power, do you think?
I think it's got both the public and the authorities thinking, you know, about nuclear power at the moment in a big way, as it should, especially in Japan and even in these other countries, because they're not that far away. They're all looking. They're definitely looking at ways to conserve energy. You know, even in countries like the Philippines, you walk into a house, you don't see normal lights blaring away. They've all got the, you know, the small LED lights burning. Everybody's energy conscious here. Thailand, they use hydro and they use natural gas. There's a lot of coal-fired throughout Asia. They are very, very aware, and they're looking for alternatives. And the other thing I think that's coming aware, it's not only Fukushima, but they just had their anniversary of the tsunami, that there's a lot more awareness towards emergency preparedness. So that's coming to the forefront as well, a lot more, you know, from energy point of view. One of the projects I'm looking at, for instance, they wanted an emergency light that could run for 30 days non-stop and have a shelf life of at least 25 years. So those sorts of projects are becoming more and more aware over here. But when you look at the greater Asia, Gary, you know, you're looking at, like worldwide, I keep looking at statistics, 1.6 billion people, 1.6 billion people have not got lighting. 600 million can't charge their cell phone. They're mainly using kerosene and paraffin. The figures are staggering when you look at 77 billion litres a year of kerosene gets used.
Now, I was fascinated when you mentioned last time you were on with me that, you know, there are people who live on remote islands out in the middle of nowhere in Asia who have no lights, no motor car. I mean, it's like they're living on Gilligan's Island, but they have a cell phone.
Yes,
and they have to send their cell phone back to the mainland to get it charged. It's wild how you know, that's crazy.
In Africa, same thing. They have to often travel the next village or ride the, just up to a day's travel to get their cell phone charged. And India, the government wants to release, they've got a new tablet computer they want to get out to the masses. But the people they want to distribute it to haven't got a way of recharging it. And that causes a big problem. What's the use of giving out, a million computers, but, nobody can recharge them? It's just crazy. And the statistic I've read in the industry is 600 million people got cell phones but haven't got a normal way of recharging them. But it is true. Everywhere I go, even the remote villages, islands, everywhere I travel in the world, Gary, everybody's got a cell phone. It's amazing. They haven't got anything else. They haven't got electric lighting. They haven't got a car. They haven't got a bike. They haven't got anything else, but they've got a cell phone. But often the cell phone is the means of education and everything. In Africa, there's a company called Mixit I did a contract with years ago. They're using the texting to help educate the population. People can't afford computers and laptops and tablets, but they've got their cell phone, and their cell phone's got texting ability. And you'd be surprised how far they push that with education, information, and the social media side.
Now, of course, everybody here in the United States and all the audience in Europe, they're laughing up their sleeves, saying, well, these stupid people on this island out in the Pacific and these stupid people in Africa, why don't they just get themselves some solar panels and charge up their cell phone that way? Okay, Mark, address that issue for the folks.
It's a capital cost. You see these things the size of an iPhone, solar charger for a cell phone. Yeah, 3 or 4 days bright sunlight, and it might charge the cell phone, okay? If you get a big system, they're up for $40-50. You think, oh, that's nothing. That could be like 3 months' income for them. So there is a price barrier of about $10 for these people. However, on the solar side of things, the lighting, I just read a report in Africa already, 7 million small solar lighting devices are now being used, which is a great uptake already. These are small devices, about 4 inches by 4 inches, typically, or round, and they've got 20 LEDs, a solar cell, and some rechargeable batteries. So they're filling a major gap there. But the trouble with solar is, you want to start charging things up and do this, you need quite a substantial system, and that's why we're working on our technology of what we call the water cell.
You kind of gave us some hints on that. Now, that's part of what you're over in Asia doing right now, is you're kind of looking for manufacturers who might put this thing together for you so you can get it out at a reasonable price, and explain to the folks just what it is you're hoping to get out to the world.
Well, there's two things. There's a replacement for the flashlight, if you like, and a way of recharging your cell phones, etc. But my particular passion, and we're working with a couple of agencies now, is to be able to provide something, for less than $5 or $6, where they can do away with the kerosene, number one, because it costs them $1.50 a week to run this kerosene. The devices we've got probably cost 10 cents a week to run. And it's environmentally friendly, and they've got the ability not only to have lighting but to charge the cell phone. And what I'm finding here is great acceptance from manufacturers and potential distributors, also the agencies who want to work with us, that this thing's out to let go. We're just working out the logistics of who to do with and how to do it at the moment. So basically,
now, of course, right when you gave that punchline, your Skype went yah-yah. So jiggle your laptop around a little bit and try and find a better location. And that last sentence where you gave them that hard-hitting summary, that's the sentence that I think the guys at the Black Suburban out in front of my house, routed your packet through China or something. Can you run that past us one more time?
Yes, the technology.
Oh man, that connection is still bad.
Is it?
I'll tell you what. Raise the tinfoil up in your right hand and stand on your left foot.
I think I'm getting incredible internet connection here. I think it's the old Skype's gone a bit wonky here. Might have got a lot of users on it this morning.
Okay, yeah, could just be Skype. We get so dependent on these free technologies, and then we've got nobody to cuss at when they fail us. In any case, I think you're back now. Let's try that that one more time. We're talking about your water cell, and you've got a consumable in this thing, but it's very reasonably priced. Give folks an idea of just what it is that this thing's what's it going to look like, how big is it, how heavy is it, and what are people going to have to pay to take advantage of something like this?
Well, we're trying to keep the costs down for the third world devices quite a bit. It's going to be less than any solar device that's out there. But I'll give you an idea of the operating costs, Gary. A typical zinc carbon battery, a really good one might be 1 watt hour, AA size. A alkaline might be 2 watt hours. We're getting 100 watt hours out of one of our consumables at similar cost to one of those batteries. So that's the difference. And when it compares to kerosene costs $1, $1.50 a week for these people to run a light. The technology we want to introduce to them will cost them 10, 15 cents. But the other advantage is they'll be able to charge their cell phones with it. So they'll be able to have a power supply and a lighting source.
Now the consumable is a solid metallic object that could sit on the shelf for almost indefinitely and then be opened, inserted into this thing. You mix, and does it require salt water? In one of the demonstrations, I saw salted water.
Yeah, salt water, or you can use urine or Coca-Cola, whatever you got lying around. Normal water will work. It's just salt just gives it a bit of a boost. But we're at the stage now, we're getting much closer to market. It's really down to negotiating the final group of companies we'll be dealing with and distributors. There is considerable interest because it's a paradigm shift for the flashlight industry. But more importantly, we support the solar projects. We support the solar products going out there. This is just an alternative where sunlight might be a problem, or you're low latitude, or you're in a jungle. This offers an alternative, and it also offers a real alternative to do the charging. It's not going to take away from solar. It's just going to expedite the process of getting these people off kerosene.
Now, do you expect to have an ever-ready bunny in black investigating you at any time soon over this?
No, we've been given great, already we're starting to get great support from agencies, no government opposition, quite the opposite. In fact, some of the countries that are contacting us already, the governments are willing to come in and possibly help subsidise the rollout of this. Because if they're subsidising kerosene, and this does away with the kerosene, it's in their interest to stop subsidising the kerosene. So it's an attractive model for governments. Nobody's actually... That's another thing in the free energy.
We're down to about a minute, Mark. It's probably a good time at this point for you to deliver your hard-hitting executive summary on your travels through Asia. Give these guys a little bit of a taste of how successful you were in your travels.
Business side, great. Everybody, we're fine. But my other side, looking at new energy, and as you put alternative energies, I'm excited at the diversity, the intensity, and the amount of research, money, and interest that's going on in Asia. It's very, very, very exciting. And I'm quite sure it is if I went to Russia or Europe or the US, it probably is there as well. But I'm very excited at what I'm seeing here, Gary. It's brutal.
All righty, I'll tell you, you timed that one very well, Mark. You know, we're getting used to these interruptions that come on this broadcast. In any case, Mark Dansie, thank you so much for your presentation. Really appreciate the update on what's happening in alternative energy in Asia.
Thanks, mate, and thank you again, Gary, and hopefully we can talk in the next couple of months again.
Sounds good. You take care now. And to the audience, Charlie McGrath will be along with his guest, James Corbett, this evening, right after these important commercial announcements. Good night, all.